We are officially recording. We're 5 seconds in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, we're back. June 10th, 2021. Dare to think. I'm here with JB. I am Matthew. And we're getting back to you.
Yeah. Matt, this year is just chugging along.
It really is. I can't believe that the year's halfway over. But I guess I say that every year. But whatever it is, here we are. So,
Yeah.
yeah. So, how's everything been going?
Everything's going good.
Work's good. Life's good. Family's good.
Yeah. You know, Matt, I don't often read the news
No,
because it's crazy.
like
But when
no
I do
TV, no newspapers, no
no.
magazines.
No. Well, I look at it on my phone.
Yeah,
I have television, but I don't have cable.
right.
I have internet, but I don't really look at all that crap. But when I do, it's like, here's what's going on in California.
Yeah, yeah.
Here's what you need to know. And it's almost like I can't keep up with it. My brain can't keep up with the mania.
It's pretty overwhelming. It's pretty
So I'm not
overwhelming.
the only one. You feel that way.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think like the consensus would be, yeah, it's very overwhelming.
Okay, so dude, like they tell us they jerk us around like a fucking yo-yo. They go, "Hey, June 15th, it's a magical day. We're going to make sure that we're going to allow you
Yeah.
to take off your masks."
We were talking about this and you were right. I said June 15th. Oh, the mandates are ending. We don't have to wear the mask. And you said, watch. It's not going to happen. And you were right. Newsom backed out and he said, no, we're not going to end the mandate. So here we are.
Well, I don't know, Matt. So let's compare notes because like I read again today and it seems like they want to split hairs.
Yeah,
They're like,
definitely.
"Well, we're going to do it, but you guys got to like, you know, walk. It's almost like do the hokey pokey. Grab one foot or do what is it? The game Twister. It's like put your left foot on the red dot and then put your right arm on the green dot and then twist your other nose to the blue dot, and it's like, dude, what the what okay, so here's my question, Matt. This is the question that I want to pose. Are we free people or are we state subjects? Are Californians free people who can make decisions on their own, or are we state subjects that are subjected to the mandates or whatever pops into the officials' heads, whether it's Gavin Newsom or the health czar?
Mr. Dr. Fauci?
No, even just our state,
Well, yeah,
because it varies state by state.
definitely. That's obvious.
So what are we? Are we free?
No. I mean, I guess we are to a certain extent, but if you walk into a grocery store around here and you're not wearing a mask, you're going to be told to leave. You can't do your shopping. They may call the police. So, I don't know, would you call that free?
No, personally no. So why is it different in California than it is in other states?
Because of the governor.
Any other reasons?
No. Because of the governor. They're just there's a certain mindset in California. It's a very liberal state. I think a lot of people are scared here if you compare it to Texas and Florida, where the states have been opened. Um,
Not just them, but others too.
sure, yeah, many other states, but if you keep pumping the fear, then people are going to buy into it. Not everyone buys into it. There's a lot of people that are sick of this. As I've said in previous recordings, I go to, stores around my area where I live, and a lot of the people are not wearing masks. There are also like smaller independently owned stores, so I think they can get away with that, opposed to like a big chain. But yeah, there's a lot of people that are just sick and tired of it, and they're just, they're just they're just over wearing the mask, and they don't see people dropping dead in the street everywhere they go. And it's like, okay, it's time to end this. It's time to end it.
So, do you think that this is more about public safety, or do you think that this is more about something else?
No, I don't think it has anything to do with public safety. I don't even think there's a fraction of a percent that has to do with public safety. I think it's all about control. Yeah.
Are you calling them liars, Matt?
Yeah, absolutely. They're complete liars. I mean, look at Fauci. I don't know if you've been keeping up on that, but his emails were released recently within the last couple weeks. And now it's coming out that it looks like that which we all knew, who's paying attention, that the virus came from the Wuhan lab. Oh, in the beginning, it was from the wet market. It was just natural. It just mutated naturally. And no, it was released on purpose. Well, people are starting to pay attention. The people who are supposed to be these authorities telling us, you know, how we're supposed to handle this virus are now coming out as liars. Literally.
Are you shocked?
No, not at all. I mean, I said it from the beginning. Hey, I'm not trying to come with ego. I always say that. But I told you so. These people are criminals. They're literally criminals. You know, there's no surprise that it's coming out that Fauci lied. There's no surprise. He's been put front and center, and people can see it for what it is now. And even the mainstream media can't hide it. Even they can't protect him. They might not give it a huge amount of coverage, like I think they should, but you can't cover up the truth because the truth is always going to come out in the end. It's always going to come out in the end. So we got Newsom, and we just have a lot of unnecessary mandates in California that I think people are really getting sick of.
Do you trust Newsom?
No, no, not at all. Not at all.
Why not?
I don't think a lot of people do trust Newsom. And I think the reason is because he hasn't handled anything properly in this state as governor or when he was the mayor of San Francisco. I mean, look at San Francisco. It's just riddled with homelessness, drugs. People aren't prosecuted. You can't park your car anywhere in the city without it being broken into. There's people just dealing drugs or shooting up or shitting on the streets, pissing in a corner. It's turned in, excuse my language, it's turned into a total shithole. And that was under Newsom. And now it's under Mayor London Breed. And now Newsom is in charge of California. He's in charge of the state. And he's doing a terrible job, just like he did a terrible job in San Francisco. But he's well connected. He's got his aunt, Nancy Pelosi. He's part of a very wealthy and well-established family. And he's protected.
Well,
most people are waking up, even if it's Democrat or Republican. Um, People are going to try to spin it, or the mainstream media is going to try to spin it as this is a Republican attack on Newsom, and it's all the GOP that's coming down on him. When in fact, if you talk to the average person, they hate Newsom. It doesn't matter if you're Democrat or Republican, left or right, you know. They don't like his policies. They want to see him go. And we have enough signatures for him to be taken out of office. But I really have my doubts whether it's actually going to happen or not.
why?
Because he's well established. He has power. They have power. They have money. I think he just recently wanted to. They have enough signatures to take him out of office, but he wants to verify the signatures, which is ironic because that is something that he did not want to do during the 2020 presidential election.
Well, not just him, but a lot of people.
Oh, sure. I was just trying to, like, talk about the state specifically. But yeah, he's well connected. He's powerful. That's the bottom line. He's powerful. He's got a lot of people behind him. They're going to back him up. They're going to protect him. He's got a lot of money. And unfortunately, there's a lot of corruption, a lot of corruption. And so, will he be taken out of office? I hope so, but I have my doubts. And I think that comes down to what we wanted to talk about tonight, which is the power establishment. You know, where do these people come from? Where do these families come from? You know, where do these politicians come from? Why are all these families, why are there generations of different families that are in politics and that are pulling strings? And are they really working for the people? Are they really there as humanitarians that want to help others? Or are they just there to fill their own pockets and benefit financially? Maybe they want control. Maybe they want money. Maybe they want both. Maybe there's an agenda they're pushing, a narrative they're pushing. Who are they connected to? And so I think it's important for people to understand how these people are connected on a bigger scale. It goes far, far beyond left or right, Republican or Democrat. It's it's really like a mafia. It's a criminal mafia, and I think that's a hard pill for many people to swallow. To think that you know our our governor or a mayor within our city or state is connected with a criminal enterprise. I think that's hard for people to swallow, but I think that's the case. And in order to understand how these people have gotten into power, you have to understand, you know, you have to build the foundation of understanding. And and it's a huge topic, but I let me hear what you have to say. I have my notes here, but I don't want to take up the spotlight.
No, this is good. I feel like, what we're trying to do is like lay a groundwork.
Exactly, exactly.
You know, it's hard to unpack, Matt. I think you can relate. It's hard to unpack 12, 13, 15 years of looking at a picture
It is.
in just a few hours.
It is. Yes.
And
Very hard.
so I kind of feel like what we're trying to do, and and we're still in our infancy here, is to kind of give you guys um, the nuts and bolts, the the beginnings of what we found, what we think are like the ABCs of the picture. And then we've kind of compared notes and we've talked for a long time before we ever started this podcast. And what we did was we found a chemistry and we found a um, harmony, and we we discovered what we could agree upon in our looking at things. And then we also talked about the practices of like productive thinking versus unproductive thinking. The traps that are laid for us, and the traps that we can kind of fall into that can keep us from moving forward. So that's what this thing is about. For me, if I could just generally speak about what I would want for this podcast, is like I want to be clear. Dare to Think is not about you guys thinking exactly like we do. You don't have to. We also don't, I kind of feel like success for me would be, I don't want you to just agree with everything I have to say. What I would want for you is for you to listen with an open mind and hear what we're saying, and not just jump to a conclusion and put us into a category like, oh, these guys are just crazy conspiracy theorists. But just listen to us as people, as I am a person with my own thoughts. Matt is a person with his own thoughts. And we're speaking. And hopefully what we're giving you are thoughts that cause you to examine everything that you've looked at, your worldview. If you can do that, and again, and it's truly yours, not somebody else's, not just because it's repeated to you over and over and over, because just because it's been repeated, it's the popular social pressure. If it's not true, you don't have to subscribe to it any more than you have to subscribe to my way of thinking or Matt's way of thinking or anything like that. It's just like, I'd rather have people walk away feeling more confident in themselves, as like, I know what I think. I know what I think, and I know why I think it. Versus like, just because it's been told to me.
Yes, exactly.
So just because we get up here and we spout out our opinion and our perspective, it doesn't mean that it's necessarily correct. But what we're trying to do is like say that there's a different way of looking at things than the popular narrative, for sure. And that the popular narrative is completely agenda fueled.
Right.
If you don't, if you can't see that,
right,
then I kind of have to challenge you to think a little harder on it. That's my general way of thinking about it. So, Matt, we get back to power structure, because there is a power structure.
definitely.
It's just like, what is the power structure? What's the history of the power structure? Because like, if everything that Matt and I are talking about is complete bullshit, then it will have no effect. It'll have like zero effect. But if it's worth listening to, then and if it has like some sort of relevance to it, then I think it's important for thinking people to pay attention to it, because it can affect them personally, it can affect their families, it can affect their community, it can affect their job, it can affect the decisions that they make. And this is what I'm seeing when I'm watching this whole thing roll out with, the whole COVID stuff. This is like a perfect prototype of how these things can affect all of us on our everyday level. You know, masks. It's not just about wearing a mask or not wearing a mask and being a big crybaby about it. It's about them getting you to do something that they want you to do and telling you to do it versus like you having a choice about it.
They want to see people falling in line.
Right. Do you have a choice? Because you should have a choice if you're free people. But if you're not a free people, you don't have a choice. You have to do it. You have to obey. And so that's the true rub, is it's not about people being just a big crybaby about, wearing a mask or not wearing a mask. If people want to wear a mask, I have zero problem with it. Go ahead and wear a mask. Wear 3 masks.
Sure.
Wear 10 masks.
Right.
I don't give a shit. But if you make me do something that I don't want to do, we have a problem. Because you have to substantiate why it's important that I need to do it. And first it starts with something small, but it snowballs. And that's been the course of history. And that's what we're talking about here on Dare to Think. It sounds like something stupid and subtle, but it's not. It always sounds like something subtle and stupid. It starts it doesn't just come in over the top. It starts something very elementary. And that's where we are today.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when COVID first started, what they said, 2 weeks to flatten the curve, just 2 weeks. And then it slowly progressed into, okay, well, now it's going to take a little longer than we thought, and everyone mask up, and here's all these mandates that you have to follow.
They dangle the carrot in front of your face. This whole
Right.
June 15th bullshit. Yeah, I'm sorry to interrupt, Matt, but it's like it's been one thing after the next. What year is it now? It's 2021. It's how long has it been? 16 months? 15 months?
Has it been that long?
Yeah.
Oh.
March
I thought it was a
plus,
little over a year.
Well, yeah, March plus June.
Well, I guess
is
that
15
is a little
months.
over a year.
15 months.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what? Okay, and these people say, this is my big bone to pick with them, Matt. They say follow the science. What science are they talking about?
The made-up science.
If you look at the science, if you are an objective thinker and you look at the science, there's never been a spike in the death rate. Never. There's been a spike in the cases rate, but never been a spike in the death rate. The death rate has not run away from us. It's always been between 0 and maybe 1.5%, maybe tops 2%. And of that 2%, it's been high-risk people, not children, not people between 0 and 65. And if you are 0 and 65, you had some sort of what they call a comorbidity. This is science. What I'm speaking right now is science. Not just getting up there and saying the word science. Backing it up with statistics. And Matt, it makes me really, for me, it's been so telling that so many people are so easily duped. To me, the bigger concern is that these people are ripe for tyranny. ripe for slavery, ripe for subjugation.
Yeah, definitely. People are, I mean, at least in California, where we live, in a very populated area in the Bay Area, people are definitely ripe to, people are definitely susceptible and easily manipulated, unfortunately. And I can't say that about everyone, but there's still so many people around me that I talk to that are just really scared of COVID and that just really buy in. Oh, well, okay, June 15th, I know it was supposed to end, but maybe it's for our best interest if we just continue to go along with it, you know. We don't want to see people dying. No, of course not. I don't want to see people dying. No one wants to see people dying. But how long are you going to go along with these mandates? And are they legitimate? I
Where
mean,
does where does reason meet the fear?
yeah, exactly, exactly. I think I think a lot
Does
of it comes from
fear
fear.
triumph over reason?
It does. It does. Unfortunately, and I think that's why it's pushed. I think that's why fear is pushed so much because those in power know that they can use fear to manipulate people. You know, if you know how to coerce people and make them think what you want them to think, then you have a control over them, and that's the whole point, unfortunately.
And why do you think they're doing that?
For power, to push an agenda of communism, Marxism, socialism. Um, yeah, I think that
They're
the
pushing that agenda for what purpose, though? They're pushing, let's just say everything that you're saying is correct. Let's say Marxism, socialism, communism, it's correct. Why are they pushing it?
to create a globalist, cohesive one world government.
It's a power grab. That's what you're saying.
Yes, you have to change the society. You know, the United States is like the last free bastion of freedom and hope, and you know, people think that they can come here to the United States and live out their dreams, and they can you can do anything you want in this country. I love this country. That's what this country was founded on, the principles. But it's being attacked, it's under attack, and we have to see who our enemies are. And I think we have to recognize the fear and propaganda that's being pushed. So, you know, that's why I do this talk. That's why I'm doing this podcast, in order to share information that hopefully, you know, will spark an interest of people to research and look into information for themselves and realize that, hey, maybe what we're being told is not the truth. Maybe it's not fact. And maybe maybe it is fear mongering that's going on. Maybe it's not about science. So,
Why do you think they keep saying the word science?
because it gives them a relevance, and it backs up what they're saying. If they say science, then people can't argue with it, or they think theoretically that people can't argue with it. Oh, it's science. It's 2 plus 2 is 4. That's science. It's just fact. That's how it is, and that's how they deliver it to people. When in fact, it's not science. It's just propaganda.
So science is a trigger word.
Yeah,
It's a
exactly.
trigger
It's
word
just
to
yeah.
get people to comply.
Yeah, it's just
It's like
another means of
just say
manipulation.
science and people will drop their guard and bow down to you.
Right, because right, you can't argue with science. It's science, you
Yes,
know.
but you're not really giving anybody anything scientific. You're just saying the word science. And people, but by the very mention of the English word science, people go, oh shit, well, I can't say that. It's almost like it's almost like this unquestioned religious dogma.
Right, right.
As soon as you say science, people go, "Oh well, shit, I'm throwing up my white flag. I can't battle science."
Right.
But all they did was say the word science. They didn't scientifically back anything up with facts.
No, right. It's a way to defeat people.
It's psychological warfare,
Mm-hmm.
Matthew.
Yeah. Yep.
It's
Exactly.
deception. People need to wake up to this bullshit.
It's really frustrating. It's really frustrating. You know,
I'm
I'm
I'm frustrated with people's stupidity.
I'm pretty tired about. I'm pretty exhausted with being called a conspiracy theorist but I have the best intentions, and I never tell people that I am right. I just hope people look into the information for themselves. But everything's there if you want. I mean, we walk around with a computer in our pocket. We have the ability to research anything that we want. Even if these days big tech is censoring a lot of stuff, we can still find information if we dig. You know, you could even go to the library and read about history.
Yeah.
It's just people don't. I mean, I've said this previous times, you know, many, many times before. People have families and lives and jobs, and they don't have the time to delve into this. But hopefully, from us doing this podcast, I'm trying to make it easier for people to understand the what's going on and the
I hear
corruption.
you and I get that. But I really think that um, you're being too nice. I,
I
I,
guess, I guess so.
I think that people have their lives, so do I. But if people don't understand the importance of the times, everybody's going to lose. I think people need to come to grips with reality. I think people need to think about if they really care about their future and if they care about their children and their children's future. They need to pay respect to um, what's going on around them. And it's not always cute and, little kitty cats and cupcakes. We have enjoyed a level of um, freedom and abundance for a long time, but that has kind of put us to sleep. And in the meantime, there's been some dangerous things that have, I think, crept in through the back door.
Yes, 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 yes.
And we need to, if we're going to protect our domain and everything that kind of keeps us free and everything that kind of keeps us, all the things that we love, all the things that we hold dear, we can't just let something dangerous seep in and turn a blind eye to it. So, because in a free and open society, everything's copacetic, it's all cool. But there's some influences that can take advantage of that sort of liberty. And so it's up to the good people of the free world to pay attention to those sorts of things and to acknowledge them, in my opinion.
Yep, yep.
Um,
You have to pay attention. A lot of
that's
people
the
don't.
price.
You got to pay attention. A lot of people have become passive. And like I said previously, a lot of people are just busy. And they are not really paying attention because they don't have the time. But if enough people don't pay attention, we're going to wake up one day completely enslaved. And I'm just trying to bring and awareness. So, so that doesn't happen. I don't want to see that happen.
So Matt, you started to bring up the whole um, power structure bit. Do you want to talk about that? Because I want to give you time to talk about that. If you want to unpack that a little bit.
Sure, yeah, thank you. For my own sake of research and understanding and just trying to, you know, be able to look at the world for what it is, um, it's a lot of information and it's hard to understand. And I want to understand where all this comes from. Where does all this come from? Where does all the corruption come from? I think it's important to question everything, and you have to go back into history. So I was just working with some notes, and I said, in order to understand the present, we have to understand the past. We have to understand where things come from, how our society works, where our financial system comes from, where our political system comes from, where our pharmaceutical system comes from, who and why are there families on this planet that we call royals? Where does the power come from, and who gave them this power to rule over people? I have found over years of research that in order to understand the present, we have to question and understand the past. I've been curious about the world since I was a little kid. I was that kid in elementary school checking out the books on the Loch Ness Monster and Bigfoot and ghost sightings and UFO sightings, etc., etc. But ultimately, I just wanted to know, I wanted to understand how the world works. What is reality is the big question. Society today, thanks to the mainstream media, will call you a crazy conspiracy theorist if you question the mainstream narrative, because I have questions and I am now labeled a crazy person. Why is that? Why are people targeted and ridiculed for asking simple questions? I believe it's because there is a power structure. Those in power want to paint a certain reality. They want a reality which helps them to progress their agenda. And the next question that I would say is, what is the agenda?
Well, Matt, that was loaded. Thank you. That was awesome. But something that you said kind of jumped out at me. The whole bit about reality. You know, we are all kind of arguing from our worldview.
Yes, yes, for sure.
Part of the probably not only part of the problem, probably the foundation of the problem of why we are in the position that we're in is because we're all arguing from a place of what we believe to be reality.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And there's a lot of conflict in that.
Tons of conflict. That's what
And
social media is there for.
well,
Sorry.
well, but hold on. It's almost like how many realities are there?
I mean, everyone sees the world through their own eyes.
Okay,
So.
but fair enough. But I kind of think that there is not kind of. I do. I do think that there's one reality, because when reality fucking hits you in the face, if you're standing on the railroad tracks and there's a train coming, that's reality.
Yeah.
You can imagine that the train is not coming.
Right.
You can imagine that it's just a little snail. But once that train hits you, if you don't move, that's reality. You're gonna get exploded into a million different directions, and that will be reality. And I kind of feel like the biggest problem of our day is people are out of touch. they are in denial as to what reality is.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's our biggest problem. They are lying. People lie. They lie to themselves, they lie to each other, and as a result, we're drifting from true reality. We're drifting from truth. And those of us who are struggling and trying to find a connection, a cohesion, and a semblance of reality are we're trying to speak to people who we love, and there's nothing but this confusion and this
Ridicule.
I don't even care about that. I'll take the ridicule.
Sure.
I just want to speak on the existence of what is real. And I really think that if we can't see it and touch it and agree upon it, we're going to be cast to the wind.
You think that, like, when we question things, we're going to be cast to the wind?
No, not us, but the society
Oh.
at large.
People who...
Yeah. Reality is our anchor.
Yes.
It's bigger than we are. We have a foundation because of it. We don't get to determine what it is. It determines what it is on its own.
Sure.
All we do is build upon it because of its truth.
Right.
And if we don't admit that, what do you have? What are you going to build on?
Yeah, just
some sort of ambiguity.
House of Lies.
Well, fine. That's on you. And
Deception.
Yeah. Well, if people are going to do that, that's fine. But they have to accept everything that they believe in, everything that they're going to. And then it's like it's so funny because they do it, and then they reap the consequences of it, and then they're like, "Oh, poor me. I'm such a victim." It's like you get what you get.
Well,
if you build on something solid, cool, you're going to benefit from that. If you build on something ambiguous, well, you're going to get from that too.
yeah. Well, it's just like the current DA in San Francisco. It's like no crimes are prosecuted. Criminals get away with just a slap on the wrist. And people are now complaining about it, but they voted for this guy.
So if there is no absolute, then there is no absolute criminal. Is that correct?
No, I'm just saying that you were saying, like, people get what they... If people aren't paying attention and they just go along with things, and all these bad things happen, and then you complain about it, well... You never spoke up about it. You never were against it previously, but now you're pissed off. So it's like the DA was voted in, and now people are complaining that crime in the city is just over the top. Well, you voted the guy in, so now, you reap what you sow.
Right. These people deserve this because that's the only way that they can learn.
Exactly.
And even then, I doubt that they will learn.
A lot of people probably won't. Some people will. If you're paying attention, hopefully people will learn.
Yeah, people either learn the hard way.
It is.
And this is true of me. Okay, everybody. So don't think like I'm like, holier than thou or anything. You either learn the hard way or you never learn.
Yeah.
And I've had to learn some very brutal things. but I'd rather learn some brutal things than never learn. Because that is just, to me, that's just damnation.
Yeah, for sure. You know, is everyone going to learn? No. Um, I want to speak the truth. Do I know it? I don't know. I'm just trying to have a conversation. I'm just trying to open up a dialogue. I just want to throw ideas around.
You're doing a
I,
great job, Matt.
thanks. I think it's a very good example to throw out like Chester Boudin, who's the DA in the city in San Francisco. It's a very good example to point out that, hey, people voted for this. People in this area tend to vote very liberal, democratic, and now it's kind of biting them in the butt.
Yeah,
The same thing with Newsom. People aren't happy with him, but they voted for him. I also think that voter fraud plays a role, but that's a whole other topic to get into. But
I agree with you. I think that people kind of, I got to be careful with the whole liberal, conservative, Democrat, Republican thing, because people, you know, if you're liberal, that's fine. If you're conservative, that's fine. If you're Republican, Democrat, whatever, that's fine. I think that people are trying to vote for solutions.
you right,
And,
sure,
and I
yeah.
think that we got to be careful that we don't fall into the trap of the divide and conquer. We talked about that last time, Matt. Divide and conquer is a huge, huge, if not the one of the biggest pieces to this whole mess.
Yeah.
Um, so people who are liberal thinking and versus people who are conservative thinking, they don't have to be enemies.
No, not
They
at all.
just have a different way of looking at how to solve a problem.
Sure, 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 sure.
And so I just want to point that out because like a lot of the narrative seems to be like you're either this or that and
Well,
fight. It's kind of like let's pit Ultimate Warrior versus The Undertaker.
not everyone has to be labeled, and that's how it goes, unfortunately. It's like people want to label you this or that, Republican or Democrat or liberal or conservative, when in fact, we're all just people and we all just want to solve these problems. We don't have to put labels on things.
But is it I hear you, but is it almost unsolvable the way that they kind of put us in a limited um, rat maze? I kind of feel
It
like
is. It
I
is.
kind of feel like they put us in this little rat maze, and no matter what we argue about, we're gonna come to this place of unsatisfaction on both sides. And it's just like, oh, no matter what, no matter how hard I try, I'm still going to just be a rat in a maze. And whether you're on the right or the left or Republican, Democrat, conservative, liberal, whatever, you're still going to be in their little trap.
Well, that's what they want, right? It is the trap. Absolutely, it's the trap. That's
Dare to think, everybody.
yeah. That's And that's why I want to illustrate and really get down to the nitty gritty, if you will, the foundation of where this corruption has come from. And it really is like a cancer that is spread, and it has spread into every orifice um, of this world and this country. There's corruption everywhere, and it's a relatively small amount of people. But that's why I really want to highlight and talk about and understand where this corruption comes from, because then it when you talk about all this stuff, it's very overwhelming. It's a lot of information. It's hard for people to wrap their heads around. But if you give people a foundation of where it all comes from, you start from point A and then you proceed, then it becomes a little bit easier to understand and wrap your head around. So I think we can get into that in the future, maybe the next episode. Um, but I
Well,
just think
start me
that's,
off, Matt. Give me a little tantalizer. Give me a sample here. Start me off with like square one and work me up from like kindergarten up to like third grade.
well, I mean, you have these aristocratic bloodline families um, that have, consolidated power for hundreds, if not thousands of years. And these are the same people that have constructed our banking institutions. They are the same people that are have constructed our pharmaceutical, industry. These are the same people that have um, constructed our political system. They're the same people that run our banks. You know, who are these people? Where did they come from? How did they get in power? It's imperative to understand things from the ground floor, if you will, because if not, then you don't have a basis of understanding at all, and it just becomes way too much information for people to wrap their heads around. So I think it's important for all of us to really focus on a foundation of understanding and knowledge as far as where this criminal network has come from. Where it comes from, how it manipulates us, how it controls our everyday lives. Things like why do we pay taxes? And why do we have to pay car insurance? And why is my monthly pharmaceutical bill for my pills for this and that so expensive? And why do I only get two people to vote for, for the presidential election every 4 years? And why is there only Democrat and Republican? And why are we still relying on internal combustion engines when the technology is there for, things like electric that's been there for years? Why does industry work the way that it does? Why is gas so expensive right now? All these questions we can we can understand if we go back to the very basis and have a foundation of understanding and knowledge. So I think, that's going to be something that I will get into in the next episode. Um,
Why
but
the next one?
because we're coming up on an hour and,
Yeah, we're coming
you
up
know,
on an hour, and
I think it's best not to go overboard, you know.
I want to thank everybody who listens to us. Wow, man, we got some really excited neighbors out there. It's great. Summertime in California, everybody.
Yeah, the kids are playing next door, the window's open,
That's
so
cool.
might be a little loud.
So I want to thank everybody who listens, who supports us, everybody who tunes in and gives us a fair listen. You guys are awesome. Thank you. And Matt, are we having fun yet?
Yeah, great time. Great time. I mean, I've had this is my first experience talking. I don't know if I'm very good at it, but I think I'm getting better and I'm learning and I'm having fun and I'm sharing information. And yeah, this is really important to me. It's very fulfilling. And that's what really I strive to do every day of my life is I want to be fulfilled, you know.
Yeah, you never know when you're going to leave this
Exactly.
life.
Yeah, for sure.
And so we want to fill our days with quality. Think about everybody, this is a little side thought for everybody out there. you know, life is very temporal. What really matters? You know, when I take inventory on that, I think about, for me, it's a helpful practice. What really matters is relationships, connecting with people I care about, my family, of course, my boy.
Yeah.
Um, Doing well, taking pride in what I do, whether it's you know, it's fine if you are working for a corporation, but you know, have some satisfaction in what you do. Don't let don't let them take advantage of you. You can still just do a good job in what you do and do it well. And then that can be true of your art. Maybe it's you're a painter. Maybe you're a musician. Maybe you're a sculptor or a writer. You take pride in what you do. So because you never know when you're going to leave. You never know when you're going to leave this life, when you're going to leave this world. So you kind of want to leave your mark. That's how I look at it. And so when we come to this podcast, Matt, it's almost like this is our chance to kind of put our thoughts out there.
Yeah.
And kind of leave a legacy, leave a
Yeah.
mark on our listeners, and tell them, hey guys, we don't know it all, but here's our thoughts,
Right.
and maybe we can give you something. Maybe we can dare you to think. Maybe we can cause you to think. Maybe we can. You don't even have to think how we think, but you can think better as a thinker in your own brain. If we can provoke you and inspire you to do that, I count it as success.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I count it as, somebody who gives you something, gives you a gift. Yeah, Matt, we're coming along here, and we have so much more to talk about.
Oh yeah, it's at
Oh my goodness. And it's like the
Excuse
way
me.
that the state brings things at us, it's like I can't even keep up with it.
No, it's a lot. It's a lot.
So all we are is responding to the small bit of what the state gives us, what the establishment gives us, and all we do is just reply to it.
Yeah.
And hopefully our reply to it gives our listeners something to think about, and hopefully relieves them so that they don't have to feel like the only way that they have to think is what the narrative is. You don't.
No, you
The
don't.
narrative is only one way to look at it. It's not the only way to look at it.
Dare to think, ask questions, keep your mind open,
As you say, Matt, question everything.
question everything. Well, thanks for listening. This is Dare to Think, June 10th, 2021. And we will see you guys next time.